Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show today. We're going to be talking about a lot of movies today. I thought I saw that Bounty and the Comics did a little bit of a run on movie talk stuff, and I thought that was a cool idea. So I thought that I would run with it as well. So thank you for coming in here and joining us on that. Let me go over here and hit that like button and share it. Hopefully, you guys will do the same. I hope your weekend was good. I had a really quiet weekend. I didn't really do that much. I had work, of course, but other than that, pretty much just stayed home and worked on the normal stuff that I always do. Hopefully, yours was a little more interesting than me. Nevertheless, let's see here. Join us live. Alrighty. Alrighty then, and that's done. And then over here and with the chat. So, hello, Roger. How you doing? Glad to have you. But yeah, no, I saw that Bound in New Comics. Because usually what I'll do is I'll look around and check a whole bunch of news. I just do a simple entertainment type searches, and then I'll go see if Bounding has done it because I prefer their setup. It looks better. But when I went in and I saw that they did a bunch of stuff on movies, I thought that screw that, that'll be fun. Just do that. And I wish they do more organized things like that. That would be fun. We got Lady Celtic Moon in here as well. Howdy, how you doing? And so today, I didn't really get into anything specific with board games. You guys know I like to talk about those. But what I wanted to talk about today with board games is a little more esoteric, I guess. Um, One of the things I love is the memory of when I was a kid, and I'm kind of curious if people from other countries or other parts of America did the same thing. But when I was a child, growing up, every Wednesday night was board game night because I know we go to church. My parents were quite observant. We went Sunday twice and on Wednesday too, which seemed to be more of a business meeting than anything. But nevertheless, we went to church on Wednesday. When we come home, we played a board game, and then, of course, bedtime. But every Wednesday, we had a board game closet that had those classics in it, like Monopoly and Parcheesi and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just curious if you guys had the same experience. It seems that a lot of people did, but I don't know. I know that in Europe, board games are very, very popular, more so than America, I think. I'm curious if there was a specific board game day, or did you guys just simply play whenever with the family? Of course, it is a good family activity. It gets everyone around the table together doing stuff. And of course, everybody could choose their own game every Wednesday that they preferred. It seems my family liked Parcheesi more than anything. But of course, some of you probably know Parcheesi with the word card or the card version of it, which is called Sorry, I guess. My family would play dominoes. Oh, there you go. Now I had friends that played dominoes too. Sunday night. Oh, okay. Was that after church service or in place of it? Um, wow, this is a surprise. Roger says, "I'm glad to hear, Chester. This Sunday was getting boring." Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad you came in though, Roger. But I played some dominoes in my life. But most of my playing with dominoes was just to knock them down, to be fair. But I have played the actual game a few times. Another really popular game with my family, not particularly my parents, but my extended, my aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff, was backgammon. I played a lot of backgammon, chess, checkers, those kind of things. It's a little bit, well, it's not sad, but it's a little unfortunate that. It wasn't until much later in my life, I mean, 15 years ago, I guess, something like that, 17 years ago, that I found out that the board gaming world was way bigger than I had realized. And of course, the Europeans are, I would consider, the real masters of board games. And it wasn't until, I don't know, I guess it was the early 90s. I was at a party. It was I think it was an after concert event actually, but I think it was. But there were people playing a game I had never seen before called Settlers of Catan. Now these days, for some reason, they just call it Catan. I don't know why they cut the settlers out. But that was the first time I ever seen a European game. And of course, Settlers of Catan is a great fun game. But I didn't really pay attention for over a decade before I really started realizing how big a world it is. But nevertheless, after supper, Lady Celtic Moon says, I definitely am a proponent of board games. I think they're great for families. They're great for friends to do. It's something that promotes using your social skills and your brain. Not that video games have their use. Eye hand-eye coordination is certainly something that can be improved. Yeah, I guess not Lady Celtic Moon. No co-host today. But I don't know. The problem with these days is here in Japan anyway. I'm kind of curious what you guys are having over there, but it seems that the only thing kids play with these days are video games. There's no toys anymore. Nothing like that. It's just all the kids mention is video games. That's it. Because, I always ask them ahead of birthday, which gift for your birthday? Christmas is coming. What do you want for Christmas? And it's always video games. It's nothing else. And I don't know. That just seems incredibly sad to me. Kids aren't even playing with toys anymore. It just seems wrong somehow. Maybe I'm just an old stodgy fella, but I don't know. It just seems like that's not necessarily a thing that is good for the long run. Uh, you know, because I mean, video games, no matter what it is, you're playing by yourself. I mean, you are alone playing a video game. Where with toys and of course you can be by yourself, but usually you're out playing with your friends, and board games. Of course, you're playing with your family and friends as well. And that's another aspect of board games. I used to play with my cousins all the time. After school and stuff like that. Sometimes I'd have to go stay at an aunt or uncle, a cousin's house. Might get picked up by my parents later. So we would, sit and play board games with each other. Very popular was actually Monopoly. It's weird when the kids have a choice. A lot of times they pick Monopoly, even though it is a bit of a drudge to play. But I don't know. We used to play that all the time. Nevertheless, I was kind of just wanted to cover that idea of board games and hoping someone would jump in here with me, but that's all right. Let me go ahead and share this out, and I will get into what I've chosen for today's news. All righty. All right. So, bring this up here. Now, I thought this was interesting headline here. 9 ultra-violent Japanese anime films from the 1980s you need to watch. Um, uh, G.I. Joes and a pile of dirt. That's right, Lady Celtic Moon. That's all you needed. And Matchbox cars as well. We used to do that all the time. I recognize the one in the middle, and we'll see what else I recognize here. But it's just talking about some really good '90s anime, which I prefer the art from the '90s more than I do the stuff today. Personally, it's my preference. But let's take a look here. We have Black Magic M66. I don't know this one. I've never seen this one. Says Black Magic introduced violence that wasn't typical of anime films that came up before. The product of Masamune Shiro. That's not how you spell that, by the way. The creator of Ghost in the Shell. Oh, okay. Well, it's the Ghost in the Shell dude. All right. So there's about two military androids who spin out of control and must be put down before they can kill their creator's granddaughter. All right. So AI gone bad. So he seems to have a thing he likes there because Ghost in the Shell is a little bit about robots as well, isn't it? Hmm. I've never seen this one. I might should check it out. Huh. Wicked City. I think I did watch this. I thought it was gratuitous, to be honest with you, but then again, a lot of things kind of are, aren't they? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen Wicked City, but it's not the worst, most gratuitous Japanese. I mean gratuity in the form of nudity and things like that. But it's a little bit over the top. Yeah, be fair. The demons are living in the cities side by side with the humans, and of course, there's a group called the Blackguard. It's got to go deal with them. I don't know. It's not that bad a story. Gogol 13 is definitely adult, but this is more of well, it's kind of James Bond esque, I guess. He's more of an assassin than a spy. But I don't know about you guys. I've never seen any Gogol 13 anime. I've certainly read some of the manga. Hmm. I don't know much about this one. I guess is it just a movie? That's a TV series. Okay, makes sense. It's that kind of thing. It's serial. It's not a one-shot movie, I think. But I don't know. I did like the manga. Maybe I should go check it out. Of course, Akira, probably the most famous and successful anime of all time, I would think. You never know. Some of these modern ones might have passed it simply because the population's more now. But I don't know. Just a quick little conspiracy theory just came in my head here. Do you guys really believe there's 8 billion people on the planet? You really think there's that many? But anyway, Akira, awesome. I don't need to say much about it. I mean, everyone's seen it, right? It's good fun. Guyver, I've seen the live action. I didn't see the anime itself. Vampire Hunter D, it's fun. I like this one too. It's this one's pretty good. Devilman, I never saw Devilman until very, very recently. Netflix did a remake. I watched maybe 2 episodes and I was like, nope, didn't need it. This is another one that's just way too gratuitous. It's like, why? You know? And if you're going to do that, the whole idea of the debauchery and devils, well, then do it. Because for me, it is gratuitous, but it's also not enough. I mean, if you're going to do it, we'll do it then. Don't wuss out on it. But yeah, I didn't care for this one. Fist of the North Star. I never watched this one either. My wife did though, when she was a kid. So yeah, I don't know much about Fist of North Star uh, at all. Do you guys know anything? You think there's more than that? Than that? Oh, maybe. I'm sure there is. Let's see here. Violent Jack, Evil Town. Never seen this one either. Yeah. It was either banned or heavily censored in many countries due to the subject matter. The character of Jack is one of the most brutal anti-heroes in anime, and he never hesitates to rip his foe limb from limb in all manner of grotesque ways. Yeah, well, I know that Fist of the North Star was pretty bloody too. I've seen clips. I never even heard of this one, Violence Jack. You guys? Huh. I think there is more than that. Do it with better art. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, no. I don't hate over the top gratuity. It's just I don't know. I don't mind sex and violence and things if they're appropriate. If it's supposed to be there for your story. Like for instance, Game of Thrones. First, what, 3, 4 seasons of Game of Thrones is the best TV I've ever seen. I mean, it's just amazing, amazing TV. Really, really well done. But every damn episode there for a while, there had to be some naked person running around or some sex scene, and it's like, well, why? I mean, there's a few moments in Game of Thrones story where the sex scenes are very important. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. But other than that, you're just being gratuitous. It's like that Spartacus show that came out many years back. It was an interesting story, good acting, but it was just threw in so much sex stuff, and it was like, why? It isn't appropriate. My logical brain can't deal with things that are there just because. If it's intended, like if you're doing a story about the life and times of a 19th century prostitute or something, I would expect a lot of sex in that, and my brain wouldn't be rattled by it. But I don't know. I'm just that type. I have no problem with it. I just don't like gratuity. I want there to be a reason. Don't take me out of the absorption of your story. Violent Jack is intense, Roger says. Well, maybe I should check out an episode. Like I said, I did see a couple episodes of the modern Devilman, and it was like, nah, I'm not interested in that at all. I do know the whole story of Devilman, and it is you could just make a movie for this. You don't need a series. It has its story is very linear. I like Vampire Hunter D. I thought that was good. Uh, let's see. Sorry, Dewar. I don't know what that means. Ethereal Dragon is here. Hello. How you doing? We're talking about violent movies of anime movies of the 80s and 90s that you can't miss. Some of these are really good. For me, Akira is certainly the best. But I did like Vampire Hunter D. I love the live action Guyvers; those were fun. Um, and of course, Ghost in the Shell, which isn't here for some reason, uh, was great. But they do have this other creation by the same guy. Yeah, well, there you go. 9 ultra-violent Japanese films from the 1980s you need to watch. Okay, I don't know about that. They didn't have Ninja Scroll in there. They didn't have Record of the Lotus War, which both of those are really good. So maybe this is written by a younger person that's going back and thinking about stuff because I'm sure there were other stuff in there that were just as good. Anyway, let's move on here. Like I said, Bounding in the Comics did a whole bunch of movie related stuff, and I thought it was kind of fun. So, Denzel Washington's 10 best films of his career. Now, I'm a fan of Denzel. I imagine most of you guys are too. He's a good actor. He's very charismatic. He has presence. You just want to be part of whatever he's doing. He's that kind of fella. I did see him once in my life. Way back. This was back in the early 90s, I think, or is it in the late 90s? Somewhere in the 90s. And I was just in the same room as he was. I didn't talk to him or anything like that. I was there. My reasons for being there were completely unrelated, actually. But I did see him one time, and I was surprised by how little he was. But I guess I shouldn't be. Hollywood's kind of that way. But he does have just a kind of a smoothness to him, a coolness to him. Not the type of guy you feel gets agitated. But he's got some great movies, so let's take a look at them, see which one you guys like. Ethereal Dragon says, "How can you not have Record of Lotus Warrior?" I agree, Ethereal. It's that thing was amazing series. Dumb's the name. There's a Vampire Hunter D American comic series. Is there? Only one issue was released a few years ago. The rest will be released next year. Okay, well, I should check those out because I did like Vampire Hunter D. It's interesting. Jeff says, if you're a good writer, you can keep the audience entertained without sex. You can, and you can do it with sex too, Jeff. I'm not saying I'm not a prude. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just like, there should be a reason for you're doing what you're doing. Is what I think personally. Um, uh, Dave says, "Sorry, I was late. I'm in the shower." That's okay, dude. Showering is good. You got to keep clean. Jeff says, "Denzel never had a bad movie, even when he has a bad movie. He's kind of like that kind of dude, right? It's like Kurt Russell, right? Or Kevin Bacon. Those type of dudes." Eli. Yeah, no, that is a pretty good movie. Although I've seen a lot of people. Well, let's look at the list here. But I've seen a lot of people that say in Eli that they think he was blind during the movie when they clearly show you during the movie that well, no, he's not. But at the end, he goes blind again. So he's probably what started as a blind guy. But well, anyway, we'll get into that later. Even the movie isn't that good. He's good. Yeah, no, Denzel's great. Let's take a look at this list here that they put together to see if we agree. Here we go. Malcolm X. Um, I forgot he did this one. Good choice though. He kind of has some similarities to him with Malcolm X. Now, I wonder if I ever saw this movie. Hmm, I might not have seen this one. I know I've seen a movie that had Malcolm X in it. I don't know if it was this one though. Yeah, it's not clicking on me that I've seen this one. Of course, it's not necessarily something I watch anyway. Malcolm is an absolutely 100% abused individual. He had some pretty bad attitudes when he was a kid, when he was younger. Young man went to prison, found Islam in the cells, and he was an angry black man. That's what he was. Lots full of hate. But as he got older, before they killed him, he changed his mind and he wasn't hateful anymore. So he just kind of went through a phase. But all we ever hear about is Malcolm X's phase, his white man hating phase, and it's not really accurate. It's not exactly really who he was, but whatever. Denzel was fantastic. I imagine he was, Jeff. Um, you're here in the Discord. Am I not in Discord? Pretty sure I'm in Discord. Oh, you are in the Discord. I see you there, but you're not talking. Yeah, some reason. Wonder why. Let me go figure this out real quick. This isn't even working right. Thundero is not talking. Do I need to check something real quick? Here, let me see. There might be some problem. It does this occasionally. It's so dumb. Let's see here. All right. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Okay. Huh. Hmm. Let's see here. Let me come back and do this again. All right. Do this. Huh. 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 Hmm. It's interesting. You guys are hearing me in the chat for sure. Maybe come over here and check it on this side. Here, hold on a second. Um, let's see here. Come to properties. Hmm. Yeah, everything seems to be correct. Try it again. Yeah, everything looks fine. I don't know why you're having trouble. It seems to be fine. Tell me, Chad, are you having any trouble hearing? Jiggle the cord, man. No, that's true. Because you guys are hearing me just fine. Yeah, see, it doesn't want to load my share, though, does it? Huh. Drop out, come back in, Thundero. See if that helps. Huh. Yeah, see, it doesn't want to share my share either, does it? I don't know, dude. Because my thing's working here, no problem. I don't know what it is. Huh. Check it again. Let's see the device. It's capturing it. Let's just do default. Hmm. And default. Let me test the audio. All right. Yeah, no, it's working. So I don't know. I don't know. It's certainly not picking up my share though, but I'll just continue on and see if he can't figure it out. Try restarting the Discord. I could, I guess. I guess I can do that. Let me go ahead and do that then. Hold on, guys. Let me go do that. All right. All right. I don't know if you guys can still hear me or not, but I'm redoing the Discord. How
Can I
about
hear it?
now? Oh,
There
there we
he
go.
is.
Oh my God.
See, you just had to turn it off and turn it back on again. That fixes it every time.
I just see. So what was that? Dave was right. Wiggle the cable.
Yep.
Oh, well, whatever. At least we got that fixed. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, your mic is not being picked up in Discord at all.
It wasn't.
Huh?
Now it is. Yeah,
That's
it wasn't
weird.
flashing or nothing.
It is weird. And of course, it wasn't letting me share either. And now it
See.
is. Okay, all right. So screw you, Discord. All right, fine.
Yeah, there it goes. It's working like a charm now.
Working great now. Alrighty. Sorry about that. Little bit of technical difficulties, everybody. But how you doing, Thunder? What's up, man?
I'm well. One of the reasons I was late is because I've been dealing with my father's stuff, his estate stuff.
Oh,
But other
gotcha.
than
Yeah,
that, I'm well. Otherwise, no complaints. I'm healthy again. I had a nasty sinus infection last week. That's why I didn't come on. And you had a whole bunch of folk in here anyway.
I did. Yeah,
Um, so I was just like, Chester's got it. He'll be all right. And I didn't feel well. So, but I'm good. I'm over it. It's gone for now. It'll be back, but it's
yeah.
gone for now. And yeah, this week is looking up. I'm gonna, we're sorting out like just money stuff, right? Like, luckily, my sisters and I we're not greedy, so it's not a problem. Like, we're not arguing over anything. It's just we want to get it taken care of, so it's done.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. No,
just
I
that
stay
kind of
out of that
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it's always ugly. It always ends ugly if you let it.
Yeah, I let my wife take care of such things. And over here, as far as regarding my family, I simply have no interest whatsoever. I could care less.
Right.
Where anything goes here or there. Although they did send me my mother's flute,
Oh,
which was interesting. I guess I am the musician in the family, so that's where it should go, I suppose. And I have played it on
you.
stage as an homage.
I was gonna say, can you play a flute?
I Yeah, I can. I can play all instruments.
Nice.
I went to university for it.
Yeah, that's right. You're one of those. You're
Yeah,
one of those.
I am one of those.
And Chester, at this moment, I have a tiny little puppy on my chest. Oh,
Oh,
who almost
a
fell
tiny
off of
little
me.
something
Come here,
that
baby.
scared me for half a second. I was, oh,
Yeah,
all right.
just a little
Hello,
baby puppy
puppy.
that we're
What kind of
taking
what kind
care
of
of.
dog is it?
She is a Australian Shepherd and I
Ooh,
believe, a poodle mix.
ooh.
They call them. Wait, hang on. My wife's telling me. What is she? Yeah, yeah, an Aussie and a poodle. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
and she's a cute little thing.
I like the first half. Second half, I'm not so happy about.
Well, the
Yeah.
reason people breed them with poodles is for the curly hair. So she's
Oh,
gonna have like this nice black curly coat.
I see. I get it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's true. Poodles, terriers, they actually have hair instead of fur.
Yeah,
That is true.
yeah.
This is one of the reasons I got the Schnauzer was because it doesn't shed.
And some of her other like because this litter was huge, and she was basically one of the runts, so we had to take her away from mom and bottle feed her because there was just too many of them. Mom couldn't keep up.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Um, and they'll push the run aside and just let it die pretty much if you don't. So we took her to yeah, and the other ones were draining her constantly. But So we took her. She was real little. Now she's getting bigger. Me and my cousin and my wife. Well, mostly my cousin and my wife. I shouldn't include myself. Have been taking care of her, and she's getting pretty strong.
So what are you gonna do? You gonna keep her, or you gonna pass her along, or what?
My wife would like us to keep her, but I would rather not. Just only the only reason is because my dog is older, and she probably only has a couple years left, and I don't
Yeah,
want to do that to her. I don't want it to because it does. They do have an emotional impact when a new dog comes in.
I'm sure.
So
I'm sure that's true. Yeah, yeah,
if my dog was younger or if she was already gone, I would, yeah, absolutely, I'd keep her.
yeah. Oh, I see. I get it. Well, my dog is quite old, and he's currently looking in the garbage can.
He's
And I,
hungry.
well, no, he's not. He's just hoping I won't pay attention for half a second, and he can get away
Yeah,
with some shenanigans. That's what
yeah.
he's really
No,
doing.
not a dog. Never. They're not known for it.
No, no, not at all. I'm looking right at him now, and he's got that guilty look. He hasn't done anything yet, but he knows he's thinking it.
She's a
Yeah.
sweet little girl. Her eyes just opened recently. Like she's real young, real little
Oh
tiny
wow,
baby.
she's
Normally you
real
wouldn't
pup.
take them from their mom, but we had
Oh
to
no, I
for her to
remember
survive.
with my grandparents, the occasionally a piglet would be brought in like that.
Hmm.
Um, but
My finger is being suckled like a nipple right now because she's hungry.
aw, nice. Dave's making some kind of foul references to musical instruments, I am sure. But yeah, no, I can play all instruments. I'm not the best string instrument player, to be honest with you. Guitars, pianos. I can play percussion just fine. Enough to get by. I can like play in a symphony band or something, but I wouldn't want to
Hmm.
be part of a drummer in a rock band. That would not be
What do you think's
exciting.
the hardest? Because I hear drums is the hardest.
The trap set particularly is the hardest.
Yeah,
And trying to learn a string instrument, particularly a fretless string instrument like a violin, cello,
yeah,
when you're not a little kid. As an
right.
adult, that's pretty rough. Yeah.
Where are you
But
trying to go, little one? You gotta stay right here. You gotta stay right here.
yeah, but the flute that they sent me though, my mom's flute actually was it's very old flute. I don't think it was hers originally. She probably got it hand me down did from someone else. It's an
Hmm.
old like 19th century German flute actually.
Nice.
And so it's pretty good and it was restored at one point, and I don't know if it was played after that because I did have to go and do a little bit of repadding on some of the keys, but I played it live, and it's a sweet instrument. So
Hmm.
you know,
You see,
but
when they're this tiny, they flail around
yeah,
occasionally. Well, this one just did that and almost fell out of my arms, and now she's clutched to me tight because she's terrified.
right, yeah. Well, it's not as painful than when cats do that. So you know,
No. Well, she
uh,
doesn't have any teeth even yet. Like she's that little. So even if she were to try to nip you, she gums you. Nothing could
well, you know,
happen.
I'm talking about the claws. They're born
Oh
with
yeah.
those. Yeah, they're quite deadly. But anyway, let's get on with this here. So our first movie we're talking about here, the best movies of Denzel Washington, is Malcolm X. I had forgotten he was in this movie. I don't know that I've seen it.
I don't know if I agree. I have seen it. It is good, but I don't know if that's his best movie.
Well, no, it's not
Personally.
number one. This is just
Oh,
randomly
okay. I
listed.
got
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. Yeah,
I
I would say it's probably not his best. It's really good. Book of Eli is really good too. It's a
yeah.
very underrated movie.
Now, I have a feeling they threw this in here just simply because, you have to, I guess. They feel obligated.
Hmm.
I don't know why. But yeah, whatever. I don't know much about this one. Let's see
I
here.
saw it a long time ago, like in the '90s. It's not bad at all.
I imagine
Um,
Denzel's good
I
actor.
don't think it's. I wouldn't say it's actually a great representation of Malcolm, but it's one of the reasons why there's so much like divisive thought around Malcolm X. When the reality is, about most of the things he talked about, he was probably right. Um, but and he had a ridiculous name like Malcolm X. But other than that, I think the last 60 years or whatever has pretty much proven most of his theses on blacks in America correct, and that's tragic because they weren't positive.
No, they weren't. That's true. He did have some, especially when he was younger, he did have some pretty hardcore white hate in him.
Yeah,
But he was also pretty harsh on black people. Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of those things have turned out, and it's because the black community is caught up in the system. They are part of the system, and they can't escape it. and the system just grinds them into dust because all they are is a placard. Really, they've been turned into a placard by
Yep.
the system, and
Well,
that's
the funny
unfortunate.
thing is people like Malcolm X, so-called old school pro-blacks, would say things like, the black male especially, but the black community has always been, or maybe not always, but is often the guinea pig, the test subject,
Yeah.
the canary in the coal mine, whatever analogy you want to use, where the so-called elites will do terrible things to them just to see what they'll take like a beta test for the rest of the populace. Um, and I think that's sadly very accurate.
Well,
We actually have documented evidence of it with the Tuskegee experiments, but they also did similar things in South America for years. The deep state did, or whatever you want to call them, and they admitted it, and they even apologized for it. Um, Later, obviously, much later after they got caught, but that is fairly accurate insofar as if you want to think that it's a conspiratorial, or not even conspiratorial, but structural thing against everybody, and they use black men as in a lot of ways as that guinea pig to see what they could do. Because think about it, right now in rural America, basically white America, I mean, let's call it what it is. There's the opioid epidemic.
yeah,
It's
that's weird.
eerily reminiscent to the crack cocaine epidemic of the 80s because it's the exact same thing. The government's doing it on purpose, and they're doing it with malice.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of malice comes out of governments. Isn't that true? The interesting thing in regards, because Malcolm's on about slavery quite a bit,
Yeah.
but it was actually the Arabs in
Yes.
conversations with Europeans. I think it was Germans initially, because in the Americas, the government types were in trying to enslave the Indians, right?
Hmm.
And use them as slaves, but they were like the worst slaves. They would literally just sit there and die because of sadness. I mean, they were
Yes.
useless slaves because they tried. They did try. I mean, the actual settlers, the normal people, didn't enslave anybody. It's always some governmental or big business type people that do that.
Hmm.
They were there was I remember reading it was a conversation. I think it was Germans and these Ottoman or whatever that was called at the time, which is
Probably Ottomans.
well, it's up for debate.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they're having that conversation, and they said, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We found in our years of doing slavery, the blacks make the best slaves."
Hmm.
So they sold them on it, and that's when the slaves started coming into the Americas.
Yeah.
Was because of this, but nevertheless, it's a
And a
long
key
history.
point that
Ugly.
people forget, because I have to defend him every time because he gets smeared all the time. Thomas Jefferson, one of the reasons he went to war with the Barbary pirates was their
Hmm.
slaving. He
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to end it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's true. People forget about those wars, don't they?
Yeah, the first actual American war, like international war, was that, and
Sure, the
it's where
shores of Tripoli and
yep, the Marine
halls of
Corps,
Montezuma. Yeah,
and that was pretty much all Thomas Jefferson. He
yeah,
was adamant that they had to be stopped, and them and us in Sweden, I think, was our ally in that, and we went and stopped them.
man, we did. Yeah, I think Americans forgot about a lot of the stuff we did back in those days. They also seem to forget, like there's another thing that pops into my mind every now and then when people get on to talking about presidents and they talk about, George Washington, first president of the United States. No, he was the 15th president of the United
Yeah,
States, actually. Do we
right.
not study history in school anymore?
We don't.
Huh.
They use the technicality of he was the first president of the United States of America, but not he wasn't the first president of the country, not of the Continental
No, not
Congress or
even
anything.
well, yeah, but it was called the United States of America Congressional
Yes,
Presidency, wasn't it? Something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
But he was, and an old fella. That's another thing people don't seem to study anymore either. Is everyone when you hear John Hancock, it's all about that guy who wrote real fancy. No, he was president twice,
Yes.
twice. Whatever. Anyway, don't get me sidetracked. What are you doing? All right. All right. Let me see here. Dave says, we learned the recorder in the sixth grade. My fingers remember stuff, but my brain doesn't. Well, that's kind of how the way it goes. Motor skills. Dave says the Germans always make good stuff. Remember the ShamWow? They do make good stuff, though.
They are fantastic craftsmen, the
They
German
are.
people.
They are. The end of thought says, I saw a classmate do a weird thing with a clarinet, and then American Pie came out, and I lost interest. I'm a solution architect now. All right, fair enough.
And pie. Oh boy.
I do believe I saw the first one, and it's
That's the only
just,
one worth seeing.
yeah, it's just a coming of age story, isn't it? It's kind
Yeah,
of,
it's just a raunchy coming of age comedy. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah. I come from the Fast Times at Ridgemont High generation,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. Well, in all honesty, I very rarely will give praise to much of the '80s when it comes to movies, even though there was some gems in there, of course. But a lot of it was trash. The comedies in the '80s, especially the early '80s, were mwah. They were fantastic. They're the classics. They're all your classics
are.
came out of that time.
Yeah.
The late '70s, early '80s.
Well, the '80s was all about popcorn fun. The
Yeah.
'80s was about fun in general. I mean,
Yes.
everything was fun. Then the '90s, for some reason, were supposed to be sad and wear
Everybody
black
was bad
lipstick. I
boys.
don't know what
Yeah.
happened. And now everyone just supposed to be hateful. Dave says John Hancock signed his name extra large, so King George II was sure to see it. Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying he was actual president of the United States twice. Actually. Randolph was our first president, actually, Mr. Randolph, or the Honorable Randolph, because in their rules of anyway, I don't gonna get sidetracked. Anyway, Malcolm X, never seen it. Okay, the Book of Eli,
Awesome.
freaking fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Um,
With a great twist that is, while it is a twist, a lot of people did already kind of suss it out. But it's well executed, and it's just a great story
well,
from beginning to end.
spoilers. I've already mentioned it, but spoilers anyway. Here's the thing that people make the mistake with the twist, though,
Yeah.
is they think he's blind the whole movie. He is
Hmm.
not. God has given him his sight back because at the very end of the movie, after he's done, giving the information, you see they show you intentionally close up on his eyes, and as if glaucoma comes in, he goes
Right.
blind again. So during the movie, he actually is sighted. He does
Yeah.
have eyes during the movie to see, but a lot of people think he's blind the whole movie, and it's like, no, he's not.
Well, even regardless of that, honestly, that whole blind thing is a nice little like thing to talk about. But the rest of the movie's just amazing.
It
It's
is
one of
well
his
done.
best performances. It's one of what's his name? His name just went out of my brain. Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah, the bad guy. What is his
Yeah.
name?
He's like the best actor alive. What the hell, brain? Well,
Waltz.
that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
That
Yeah.
that my brain just refuses to remember his name. Unbelievable performance of an unhinged megalomaniac. Just
Yeah.
unbelievable. Uh, it's a fantastic movie, and it's got such a interesting story and such a smart story, right? Whereas the point of it is, spoiler: the bad guy's trying to use the Bible as a weapon to control people, to dominate other people. He's going to use it nefariously. And Eli has a copy of the Bible, and he's using it. He's trying to preserve it, basically, and he's trying to take it to a archive and preserve it.
Well, he's a prophet. Yeah, Gary
yes.
Oldman. There you go. That's right.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Good Lord, brain. I'm getting old. I'm getting old, man.
I know.
Jeez.
He's a good actor, though. But no, he is a prophet. He's been sent on a mission by God directly.
Yes.
It's very straight up, and it's really, really well done. And yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
You'll like
Bob
it.
says he saw Malcolm X. A lot of Muslims didn't like it because they alluded to them assassinating him. Well, Louis Farrakhan had him assassinated, and if you want to call him a Muslim, well, then go ahead. But you're going to offend the Islamic world by saying so, I would think, because that dude is
How
nothing
about
but a
that guy?
power-hungry tool.
He's something.
Yeah.
No, Malcolm, it's a shame, honestly, because like I said, I think about most of the stuff he talked about socially in regards to the plight of the black man, as he would have called it, something to that effect. He was correct. He actually diagnosed it correctly. Now, whether or not he came up with the correct solutions, we'll never know because they've never been tried. But his diagnosis of the problems was absolutely correct.
Yeah, but wasn't his
And
solution pure and radical segregation?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was never really tried, or well, I guess it was tried before, but not really. The idea that parts of the South, sure, but most of the country wasn't like that, with radical segregation.
No,
And
it was in the South mainly. Yeah.
yeah, so while it was never attempted, and I'm not making a value judgment on it one way or the other, the diagnosis was correct. And that's important because if you
Well,
can't get that part right, you can never get the right solution.
Well, if you look at what's going on with these Marxists today, they are trying segregation. They're trying to do it again, but they're doing it from their angle. And I lived in the
I
South a couple of times, and during those times down there, because my dad is from the South,
Mhm,
because I was a military kid, so I moved around, right?
right.
One thing I noticed about the South is I think actually there's more actual bigotry in the North than there is in
Yes,
the South. But in the
I
South,
wholeheartedly agree.
yeah, they just kind of segregate themselves
Yep,
willingly.
yep. And they typically don't mess with each other. They
Yeah,
just
no, they
okay.
just stay away. Yeah,
That
it's different.
seems like actual tolerance to me. When you
Yeah,
try to
sure.
force a situation other than that, and it causes friction because it always has throughout history since the dawn of time. Um, that's not tolerance. That's something else, and
Yeah.
I think it's wrong. I actually think that they want to force this segregation, blah 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 blah. If somebody wants to willingly do that, I have no right to stop them.
No,
If a
of
whole
course
bunch
not.
of people want to willingly do it, I have no right to stop them. I disagree wholeheartedly with the idea that we have to force integration. I think that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch of people these days that don't understand the difference between the words tolerance and acceptance.
Yeah,
They're very, very different things. You don't have to accept anything, but you should be as tolerant as possible.
should
I
at
mean,
least let other people live. Basically, at least
yeah,
give them that.
let them breathe. Anyway,
Live and
let's
let
move
live.
on. Malcolm X, never seen it. The Book of Our Life, fantastic.
Yeah,
Let's see. Oh my God, this is
Training
this.
Day's a masterpiece.
Jesus Christ, this is I think his best movie. I
I
really
think
do.
it's the White Boy's best movie too. Uh, I do too. I'd say it probably is. I've seen probably everything he's ever been in except for a couple movies, and I would say this is probably his best. I mean, it's the one first won the Oscar for,
Yeah.
um,
Well, he
and
should have
I'd
won
say it's
Oscar for
probably
other
his
things,
best.
but
Oh, absolutely. I'd say it's probably his best one personally.
yeah, it is excellent. I'm not going to say anything about this movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's that simple. If you like movies, why haven't you seen this already? I mean, I really don't think we should talk about this movie, the spoiler stuff.
Yeah,
But it is freaking excellent, dude. Uh, this one. I don't think I've seen this one either.
I've seen most of that. I think I had to leave or something. I was watching it at a friend's house, but it's okay. Um, it's not terrible, which of course it isn't. It's Denzel, but it's not like it's not Training Day, right? It's not Book of Eli. It's not his top tier stuff, in my opinion.
Huh. Ethan Hawke, when you forget it. No, Ethan Hawke was really good in that movie, Training Day, dude. He was excellent.
I
He's
think that's his
essential.
best performance.
Well,
Yeah, I
maybe,
think it is.
yeah, yeah, but he's essential to the story. I mean,
Yeah,
Denzel is the center of the story, but you need Ethan there for sure. I don't know this movie, never seen it. Man on Fire,
Man on
I
Fire.
have seen this one.
That's pretty good
Um,
too.
this is a pretty good flick. They're certainly going with a certain type of Denzel movie. They're kind of
Mm-hmm.
not. Alrighty, I get you. Men on Fire, Crimson Tide,
Crimson
another
Tide's okay.
no, it's fine.
Yeah.
He just plays a Navy officer in this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a submarine movie, isn't it? Pretty
Yeah, I
sure.
believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Courage Under Fire.
Eh. Another one. Like there was a
Mm,
lot of these Gulf War era movies,
yeah.
and only a couple of them were really good, and then a few of them were just okay. And I think this is one of those. It was just okay.
Yeah.
Now he was fine in it as usual, but
This is a
Remember
good
the
movie.
Titans? Fantastic movie. It's one of the best sports movies ever made.
It
I
is.
don't really like sports movies usually because typically they rely too much on the sports aspect. What I mean by that is like they rely on the hype of the sport and less
Right.
of telling a good story. Um, but this one's a good one. Right around that time, we had a whole bunch of really good sports movies come out.
Well, it is a very American thing to do to have a sports movie, unless you want to count Shaolin Soccer, which I wouldn't. But no, that's very American. The sports movie is something we do that you don't see others do very much. But this is a good movie, though. This is a good movie. Remember the Titans, Cry Freedom. Never seen it,
I think that was one of his first movies, Cry Freedom.
huh? They're certainly picking a certain type of.
This is actually kind of what we were just talking about. How if people want to live separately, why should we force otherwise? And South Africa is one of the places that still has a segregated region with its whites only.
Sure.
But those
Well,
people want to live that way. So why should
that
anybody be allowed
is
to force
yeah, but it's
otherwise?
not their choice. It's enforced.
Yeah, or Orania or whatever it's called. They have like
Yeah,
a
but
whole own city.
that's enforced, and it comes from a point of hate. Simply, I'm going to say this, and I don't give a shit who says otherwise. Apartheid was the right way.
Yep,
Yeah, it
sad
is.
but true.
You go back and look. I mean, at the time, when none of us would have thought that, me included. All the hype and all this shit that was going on all the time. Frickin' Bono, Oprah Winfrey, and all those people. But we certainly would think about it. Looking now. What is this? 20, almost 30 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking back on it, no, dude, apartheid was the way. Those South African Boers, they knew what they were dealing with, and they had it strung up tight and correct. It
Well,
was
now they're practically ruled by communists. So
Oh, it's ridiculous. Most,
yeah.
if you, I saw our poll a couple of years ago. The what was it, 82% or 83%, it was something like that, of the population would prefer to be under Boer rule.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because they
so.
actually, built commons that mattered and built a
Well,
society. They
they
didn't
managed
just
society. Yeah, I mean, they
yeah.
did. Segregation was true. It was, apartheid is apartheid. But it
Now,
yeah,
I do disagree with any form. The problem in the equation is the forced part. I believe in the right of association and the right of disassociation. I believe groups of people should be allowed that, permitted to exercise that right as well. But when you start introducing force, meaning governmental mandate, that's when it starts to become a problem, in my opinion. And I think that an apartheid state like that, where there was some force on I mean, obviously, on the part of the state. Like I said, I have no problem with people wanting to live in the same region but separately. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's like you said, the South is very much like that, and it's far less, or at least it used to be, less racially tense. Even though
yeah.
you would think that would be the worst place for it, right? Because that's where the slavery was the worst and all this. No, I don't think it is, to be honest.
Well, you remember that outrageous statement that came out of that politician? What was his name? Goulier or something like that. One of the Boer rulers, a white dude.
Yeah.
He had said that, because he was in response to all the noise that was coming at South Africa. You don't understand the black man. They must be ruled. And it was such a
Mm.
ridiculous statement. I remember it. I was like, Jesus, dude, you're not going to win anything with that. But in the end, he's proven right, right?
Yeah. I would
And
say
that's
there's
sad.
obviously
Sad.
exceptions to that rule. There's a few African states who are actually doing fairly okay. I think it's is it Nigeria? It's one of them. It's actually up there pretty high in the the quality of life and things, especially for an African country, for crying out loud.
Sure.
But
Just don't
there's
don't answer any of their letters.
yes, there's exceptions to every rule. I think one of the big problems that they have that we have in America is this idea that Africans are the same as Black Americans when they're just not, and Black
They're
Americans
not.
are
Yeah, we
in
don't
many
really
ways
know.
superior
Yeah, we
to
don't
them.
really know. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'm not really getting into who's right or who's wrong. I'm just saying that clearly, that was a mistake, and the people of South Africa agree that it was a mistake.
yeah.
Nevertheless, moving on here, the chat is getting restless. We're not
Oh,
moving forward.
fantastic!
Um,
It's one of his
uh,
best movies.
The Fallen, dude. This is my
Yeah.
favorite Denzel Washington movie. Training
Me
Day is his
too.
best movie,
I
but
think it's my favorite one too.
I
Actually,
adore this flick. It's
yeah.
freaking awesome, dude.
It's
Uh,
got such a great little twist at the end. John Goodman is unbelievable in it.
yeah, he is,
Uh,
dude.
and I mean, he's unbelievable in everything. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
If he
love
wasn't
John.
so fat,
Yeah.
he would have been a leading man in Hollywood. But John is fantastic in it as usual, and Denzel's fantastic. I honestly, I was sad at the end when John Goodman's character bites it because I was hoping to see
Spoilers.
more of those two. Yeah, spoilers for a 20 plus year old
Oh,
movie. I was hoping to see more of those two because they had great chemistry. They could have done really cool buddy cops, like
they could
supernatural buddy
have.
cop
Yeah,
stories with
you're
them.
right. Yeah, they had a good that's true.
Great.
They did have good chemistry. But this movie is a one shot, and oh, you can't do this movie again. There's no sequel or
No.
prequel. Not, at least not with the actors. But excellent flick. If you haven't seen Fallen, go watch it, dude. It's freaking fantastic, man. And that's all they have. They don't have Philadelphia in here. They don't have Flight, which was another good movie. They don't have Virtuosity, which was Russell Crowe, or a young Russell Crowe,
Yep.
which is actually a pretty good flick. They definitely went with the more race stirring black man
Uh-huh.
movies here, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, typical. Okay, whatever. But the thing is, you can't go wrong with Denzel. If you see him in the
No.
cast, watch the movie.
Check it
Right?
out. It's probably pretty. At least he'll be good, right?
Yeah.
Like he'll pull out a great performance. And as a person, I actually like Denzel Washington a lot. I think he's a very honest and honorable man. And a lot of these modern Hollywood stars, the males especially, are that. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Well,
It's actually kind of shocking because when people think of Hollywood, you think of like full on disgusting stuff, celebrities and divas and all this, and there's plenty of those too.
sure.
But a lot of these dudes, like Denzel, like your Chris Pratts or whatever, are just good. Seem to be just genuinely good men, or at least they're trying to be good men,
Yeah,
and
no,
that's commendable.
well, you got to keep in mind that these Marxists that are certainly got their teeth into stuff. Yeah, of course they're all about white hating right now. That's their big thing. But they also
Yep.
hate Asians. They
Oh
also
yeah,
hate the Jews. They hate Christians. They love Muslims for some reason, which is weird and creepy. But they also hate men. So they're part of the list. Just because they're not at the front of the line doesn't mean they don't feel the reverberations of it, right?
yeah.
And there might be a little bit of that, but next they say next week Sylvester Stallone. Huh, fine.
But
Um,
the other thing that
Roger,
Denzel
Roger,
has,
and Roger says, and they don't have snakes on a plane. Not all black men are the same, Roger. That is a different black man. And no, we're not doing Frank Stallone. Ain't happening unless we want to talk about his music career. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
well, the other thing about Denzel is he's one of those African American gentlemen who is very honest about the problems in the community, and he'll just straight up say the big problem is lack of fathers. He's done multiple interviews where he'll say it, and
He's right.
he's very honest about it. It starts in the home. The reason we have all these problems starts in the home.
Well, he's just an American. He's not a ghetto black. He's just an
No.
American. Whereas this other one, Rogers mentioned here, the guy that plays Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, that's his name. He is
Mm.
a big ghetto. He kind of embraces the ghetto side of himself. Denzel has never done that. He's just an American.
Chester,
Uh,
let me ask you a question. Does your wife just randomly take your food and start eating it?
no. Well, I
Because
mean,
mine does all
she
the time.
can. No,
You
my
just
wife
came in
doesn't do
here,
that.
grabbed my bowl of food, and just started smashing down on it.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay. Well, fair enough. That's all right. She can
screaming.
have at it. Well, the thing with us though is we always eat family service style in Japan. So the food's on the table and you have little
Ah,
plates.
yes.
So it doesn't really.
And now I have a little tiny puppy asleep on my stomach, and she's having a dream.
Aw. Let me check on my pup. Is he still? No, no. Where is he now? Okay. Oh, he's sleeping near the trash can. Okay.
Woke him
I see.
up. Woke her up.
My wife must have thrown some food
You
debris
take a
away in the
photo.
trash can, I guess. Anyway, let's move on here. Moving on.
Whew, she's a hot box. Ah, yes.
Hot
Yes,
box. Okay.
riding the nostalgia train to a fantastic film. I went and saw it. I wouldn't have normally, obviously, I don't support Marvel or Disney. But I've had a really shitty month, and I heard from a lot of people that this was a good movie,
Hmm.
and that if they finally got it right, so I had to go see it. And of course, it has Tobey Maguire, my Spider-Man, in it.
Oh,
Um,
that's good. That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
now I hear they brought them all back and they're doing the multiverse thing. My question
Yeah.
is this. This is my question because I put this up here because this thing is making money. It's
Hmm.
made what over 200 million in the first weekend here. So it's definitely a blockbuster, without
Yep.
question. People are certainly going to the theater, even though they show
It was completely sold out. We
yeah.
we got the last 2 tickets for the night. My wife and I completely sold out.
The patriarchy doesn't eat first in Japan, Dave says. No. They don't. Actually, a patriarchy in Japan is quite patriarchal, therefore everyone else does. Anyway, here's my question I have about this very successful movie and proving that, oh, no one wants to go back to the movies. That's bullshit.
Yes.
Everyone wants to get back in the theater. Here's my question, however. The first Spider Man movie and the
Hmm.
second one, I didn't see the third one. But this is the fourth, just Spider Man movie, right?
Oh, this is the third one
The third one. Okay,
with
so I saw
with
the
Tom
first
Holland.
one.
Yeah.
So I didn't
Yeah.
see the second one with
I didn't either.
Mysterio. Okay. But the first one, and the Avenger appearances of Spider-Man, they are so un-Peter Parker though. They're
Oh,
not
buddy,
Peter
you got to
at
go see
all,
this.
dude.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm not gonna spoil it. By the end of this movie, he's Peter Parker and he's Spider Man.
Oh,
No
okay.
question. They finally got it right. Somebody has been listening over there, whoever was in charge of this, because every complaint we've had, what you're saying right now, how he's Iron Boy, he's too much in Tony Stark's shadow, he doesn't act like Peter Parker. Why is he like upper middle class, like he's supposed to be working class or, really struggling to get by? Stuff like that. Fix all of it in one movie.
Oh,
And
really?
because the villains are the villains from the old Spider-Man movies, he actually has good villains, a good set of villains to deal with, and
Yeah.
he solves the problems mostly himself. He actually uses his brain, and we get to see him be a genius. That was one of our biggest complaints is
That's
he's kind
true.
of an
He's
idiot.
not smart. Yeah.
No, in this he is absolute, and he is even with the other two there. He's the star of his own movie. He actually owns the screen. Tom Holland does a fantastic job. And if they can keep that level up, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind he can carry the MCU. No
Okay.
doubt.
All right. Now, I can't stand Zendaya.
Yeah. She's still insufferable.
Still, okay. Because
But
I saw a
but
trailer scene where she forces Doctor Strange to say please, and I
yes,
wanted to
it
strangle
does
her ass.
that does happen. Yes. She's still insufferable, but she's less insufferable because everything that's going on around her is pretty damn awesome. So it totally deadens the blow. And she does have a couple scenes that are far more endearing. Where she's got Peter's back, no questions asked.
She's not Mary Jane, dude.
No, she's not, and they even reference that because the other Spider-Men come in, so they reference that she's not Mary Jane, and she's not Mary Jane, and she
What
doesn't
is she?
need to be.
What
And
is she? Melissa
again,
something? Melissa Jennifer?
something like that, Michelle Jones, something or something like that. Um, but by the end of this movie, he's Spider-Man. He's Peter. He's actually finally Spider-Man. Keyword on the end there, and he's finally Peter Parker because he shows his intelligence, his genius. He solves these problems, including a fight with a very powerful person. He outsmarts them with mathematics, and he does it there in the fight. He uses math to beat him. Stuff like that. And
How,
then we finally get the line. Finally, 6 movies in, he finally gets his motto. Uh, it's really good. I cannot recommend it enough. It's the
okay.
best Spider-Man movie
All
since
right.
Spider-Man 2, and it's the only Spider-Man movie the MCU's ever actually had because the other ones weren't Spider-Man movies. They had Spider-Man in the name, but that was not Spider-Man.
All right. I'll have to see it then, but I'm very apprehensive. Uh,
I was
uh,
too.
yeah, because I don't
Um,
like Tom Holland either. He's just a soy boy.
yes. In this movie, he finally mans up, and at least the character does. I don't know about him as a person, but he does in his acting. Um, and all of the characters, even the ones that are basically kind of you think are just cameos, they're not cameos. They're there for a purpose, and they actually have character development. They actually have story. So, like, they bring in the old villains. They're the story, the old villains. It's not. They're not just there for a one-off joke and then they screw off, right? No, they are in the movie. They are the movie.
Okay.
And It's fantastic, and even Garfield, his Spider-Man, his Parker, gets some closure on some of the stuff that happened in his movies because his movies got canceled. So
Yeah.
they actually made a point to give him more character development.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a good movie. It really
I'll,
is.
I'll have to check it out. I did finally see Dune, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I heard you didn't like it.
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't like it. Uh, hmm. How should I put it? They didn't do anything new. It's just a remake of the original movie, the original
Yeah,
Lynch movie. So all I can do is compare the two.
I
And
don't hardly remember the Lynch movie, so I don't know.
well,
I watched it when I was real little. The Lynch
I
movie.
I think what I would say is I would rather have the cinematography of Villeneuve with
Mm-hmm.
the vision of Lynch, and you would have a
Yeah. Well,
perfect
yeah,
movie.
I would agree. David Lynch is a visionary style director.
Yeah, he's
Um,
amazing. Yeah.
but I think that's probably pretty fair. I really liked it, but I think the thing that I liked about it the most is it subverted my expectations in the way I wanted it to, because we were so afraid it was going to be all about, you know, Zendaya, and it wasn't. It was Paul's movie,
Oh, give him time.
and well, exactly. But this movie on its own was Paul's movie from beginning to end, and I was surprised. I was shocked. I think the guy who plays Paul, he's really skinny, but he's supposed to be like 15 at this time, so I
He
think
is,
that's
yeah.
why he's so skinny.
No,
Um,
no, I think it's fine. It's a well-made movie. There's no complaints
yeah,
there. It's beautiful, stunningly beautiful. But Villeneuve, I love his style.
he's
I
amazing.
just think we're so I'm not. It's nothing negative. I
Hmm.
just if I had to choose, I'd go with the Lynch movie. And
Really?
the main reason is this. There's two reasons. One, Duke Leto in the original
Hmm.
movie is way better than frickin' whatever that
Oscar
dude's
Isaacs.
Oscar Isaacs. Way
Yeah.
better, right? One and two, the Harkonnens in Lynch's are freaking spectacular, dude, and they're kind of boring in this movie.
They are kind of. I'll give you that. I think they are. I think even the Baron is a little like bad guy just to be bad guy. Um, but and I don't understand some of the changes. Like, aren't they supposed to be redheads? Why are they all bald?
I don't know.
It's such a weird thing to change.
No,
Like they're still white as ghosts. So what difference does it make if they're redheaded?
but no, I don't have any complaints though. And if you're a young person and this is the Dune you saw, fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Like I said,
um,
I think it's probably it's not anywhere near as good as the Lord of the Rings movies, but
no,
it's not anywhere near as bad as the Hobbit movies. You know what I mean? Like it could have been a lot worse. And I think because the art style and the cinematography
it's
and the
gorgeous.
fact that Villanueva clearly does have a lot of respect for the franchise, which is important, and love for the franchise because he wouldn't have put that level of artistry into the
Yeah,
everything
that's
if
true.
he didn't. I think that alone makes it a much better experience. Now, whether or not it's a great movie or a great story, like I've said, I don't think Dune's a great story. I think it's a great experience. I think you should read it because the world building
Right.
and the way he tells the story in that is unbelievable. But the story on its own isn't that good of a story.
Which is why
Um,
the Lynch one is better.
yeah, well, yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
But anyway, like I said, nothing negative though. It's fine. Let's move on from this. But I'm gonna have to check it out. It's
Oh, and by the end, I'm going to give you a tiny little spoiler. It's not really a spoiler because it happens in every Spider-Man movie. He does get a new suit, and it is the absolute best Spider-Man suit they've ever put to film. It's not even close.
did they
It
get
is
him out of this
perfect.
stupid Iron Man suit?
Yes, yes, and
Thank
he's got his
God.
own suit, and it's gorgeous. It looks like it came right out of a comic book. It's bright, because Spider-Man's known for his dark colors. No, it's bright. Nice bright suit. So pretty. It's such a pretty suit.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll check it out then. I'll check it out then. Because I did check out the Dune because you suggested it and it wasn't horrible. So that was fine. I still refuse to watch Ghostbusters though. I ain't watching that shit.
Yeah, I'm not really
Yeah.
interested in it, to be honest
Anyway,
with you. There is
uh,
one thing that they did make a change of for Doctor Strange. I'm not going to spoil it, but it makes perfect sense, so I'm not mad at it.
All right, fine.
You'll see.
We know
you
we
might
know
be
they're killing.
mad at it. I'll be honest with you. You might piss you off, but I'm not mad at it because I was literally sitting in the theater thinking it. Like, wait, shouldn't this? Wait, that doesn't make sense. And then they addressed it, so I was like, oh, okay, all right, that makes sense.
All right, fine. But anyway, continue on with this movie theme thing we did. Now we did. I didn't haven't talked about Matrix yet, Roger, because the numbers. I don't have all the information, although it is bombing hardcore. And the reason it's bombing is because, well, you just watch the trailer. Neo was never the one. Never. Trinity has always been the one. And that's why it's bombing. So there
That's
you go.
so stupid.
It is stupid. People are it's just woke crap. That's what everyone is saying. It's woke ridiculous crap. And it's dumb. I mean, you had this nice run of a series. You could have done some, after the fact, or I would have done like you and I were talking about it. I would have done a prequel, like an earlier version of the Matrix, or
Yeah.
something like that would have been more fun. But of course they did. Of course they did, because the thing is, during the making of those movies, those brothers were going through their transition. They obviously were both gay at that time, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to have transgender characters, but they weren't allowed, which is fine. Which they should have just done it. I mean, why not? But
Right.
especially in that film. But this is. It sounds to me like this is revenge. That's what it is. They're like, this is what we really wanted, type of crap. Like J.K. Rowlins clearly wanted to make a Hermione book, but she made it
Yes.
a Harry Potter because she thought that would be sellable, right? Clearly,
Well, she wasn't wrong.
she wasn't wrong. But that's what it comes out, and people are just sick of that shit. So, but we'll talk about Matrix when we get all the information in, but not yet. Anyway, let's move on to a little funnier look. Go ahead.
Yeah, 1 second. I've got hiccups. You might have to read.
Okay, the top 10 woke movies that ruined their franchises. Well, I think we could have done more than 10 recently. They've certainly been building up their list here. Let's see what the Abounding says about this. So, Terminator Dark Fate. Well, let's be fair. This series went woke before this.
Yeah.
Terminator Genesis was certainly woke. She was the important character, not he. So they already done it. It was already done. This movie just simply says that John Connors, was never important. Uh, it was always supposed to be her, this unknown Latino girl. So
Yeah. No thanks.
yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, no crap. I didn't watch it. I'm not gonna watch it. Everyone tore this thing to pieces because it's bullshit, and it's
It was
like
one of the biggest bombs of all time, too. Like,
yeah.
legitimately, top like 20 bombs of all time.
So
Yeah. Nobody wants to watch that. Nobody
uh,
wants to watch that nonsense.
yeah. But this to be fair, this franchise was already dead. Ghostbusters,
Oh
2016.
God.
We talk about woke movies over here, and just make your movie. We don't care what your politics are or what your story is. Just make a good, fun movie, and people will enjoy it, no matter what the politics is. Right? I've seen
Yeah.
we. I mean, where for instance, talk about Malcolm X. I haven't seen that one particularly, but it's a good example. You can watch something that's not about you, and in that case, is something that's very negative against a white guy like myself, but it still
Hmm.
can be a good experience, right?
Yeah.
So like American History X is about
I love American
skinhead
History X.
neo Nazis. I'm not one of
Hmm.
those, but I can enjoy the movie that's put in front of me because
Yeah.
it is about hate, but it's still a good movie, and
It's a
that's
great
what they
movie.
don't understand, right?
Yeah.
So
No, this nonsense is just it's nonsense. That's the right word for it. The plot line is stupid. The acting is abysmal.
yeah,
Uh,
it's very
the
poorly done.
guy, what I can't remember his name, but the guy who directed it, he made one funny movie about chicks one time, and
Called
ever since then
Speak.
Hollywood, yeah, ever since then Hollywood is just continuously trying to give him stuff to do, and it bombs every time because he can't keep his gay cosmopolitan politics out of it. And I say gay, he's literally a gay man. That's what I mean.
He
He
is
can't
gay.
keep
Yeah.
those politics out of it, and nobody wants to see that. It's not funny. The reason why Bridesmaids is the movie I'm talking about was so funny is because it was just funny. Like, it was just a funny movie. It was a chick movie that's funny. You know how
I've
rare
never
that
seen
is?
it. Yeah.
You would look, bro. You'd love it. It's great. My wife will literally sometimes just randomly start reciting a scene in that and just crack up because it's really good. But it's a chick movie, no doubt about it. It's
Yeah.
100% a chick flick, but it's funny. It's a funny chick flick. He did that one time. He nailed it. He opened Pandora's box one time and he got it right. And then Hollywood just kept throwing stuff at him, and he's never done anything worth mentioning since.
Yeah. Well, I think this movie here is a perfect example of not understanding your source material. I mean, really,
Not wanting to, in fact, like
maybe.
belligerently not understanding it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Haven't seen this one. This was a train wreck though, which is unfortunate because the first one was fine. You know,
Yes.
I give it a 5. It was fine.
Oh,
Uh,
bro, this movie's an absolute abomination unto God. I sailed the high seas and watched it when it came out just because I was bored, to be honest.
mhm.
And I was playing a video game or something on my other screen and had it over there, and it's abysmally bad. Even not like from a like take the woke stuff out of it. It is woke, but take that out of it. The overall plot is just stupid. It's terrible movie. It's worse than the worst of the '80s. It's that bad. It should not have been made. Should
Well,
not have been made.
she literally rapes a dude.
Yep, rapes a dude, 100% full on rape.
So, you know, not good, gal.
Yeah, that's
And
not a Wonder Woman thing. I don't think. I don't remember her raping too many dudes. Maybe. I mean, she's strong enough to. But yeah.
yeah, that's not really her thing. But I did see the thing on Netflix, which she's got her new movie Red Notice
Oh, jeez.
with Dwayne Johnson and Deadpool there.
Yeah,
But
don't watch it.
I'm not gonna because I saw the trailer and I saw her kicking their ass, and I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, what?
They released. I think it was The Rock or maybe it was Reynolds on their YouTube channels. They released that whole scene basically a couple months ago, like as a
Yeah,
teaser. It's ridiculous.
yeah,
She
it's
literally
stupid.
just beats the hell out of these two men who are twice her size never gets touched, not a scratch on her.
Yeah, no, it's stupid.
Preposterous.
As soon as I saw it, I mean, because there are talented female fighters, and there's a way a woman can fight effectively in
Yes.
a combat situation. However, Dwayne the Rock Johnson would literally chew on your head.
Just snap her right in half with one hand. He could probably manage. Just break her neck. Just done. You're done.
It's insane. But
He's a
anyway, moving on.
literal giant of a man.
Yeah, no,
Dwayne
he it's
Johnson.
ridiculous. He's a beast. Um,
Ah,
uh, yeah, wow.
yes, Disney. I have not and will not forgive you just because you gave me one good Spider-Man movie that I don't even think you get credit for because I think a lot of it was Sony and a lot of it was Jon Favreau being involved.
Oh,
So
Was John involved? Well, that's
yeah,
why. There's your
he's in the
reason.
movie and he's
Oh,
one of
well,
the
there
he's the
you go.
first credited producer besides the executives in the movie.
Well, that's why it's good because
Well, it's
this
also
is a
written by
normal human.
two men who are in their one's in his late 30s, his others in his early 40s, and it shows. It's written by two adults, and it's an adult film. Now, I mean, it's not like grotesque or anything, but mature stuff happens, and Parker grows up basically,
Yeah,
and
that's good.
it's refreshing because it's about damn time 6 movies in. Good lord.
Yeah. Well, one of Favreau's best movies. I know a lot of people would probably say Iron Man, but actually, Chef. If you haven't
Yeah,
seen that, go watch that shit. But anyway, Star Wars Episode whatever, The Last Jedi. Yeah, and they're comparing The Matrix to this, by the way,
yeah,
and
I saw
how
that.
absolutely insulting it is. Do we need to talk about this again, seeing as we have hours of tape on it already?
No,
No.
no. We need to forget it ever happened. In fact, Disney needs to forget it ever happened and pretend it didn't.
Now, how do you take
This,
something
like
with a
Charlie's
premise?
Angels and Bomb with it.
Yeah, how do you do that? Because what's the premise here? Let's think about it for half a second. Pretty girls doing sexy things with
Yep.
the action. I mean, that's it, right? That's the premise. They're supposed to be sexy, pretty girls. That's it. That's the whole concept. And then you put that silly, ugly, dumbass girl who can't act worth shit in it. I mean, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You can go ahead now.
I didn't see it, but I think this might actually be the biggest bomb of all time. It was barely in theaters because literally nobody saw it. Literally nobody went to see it. It was
Yeah,
such a bomb. It was humiliating
yeah.
to the studio.
That's pretty bad.
Humiliating.
And it's just horrible. It's a ridiculously dumb movie. It's poorly done. Everything is poorly done. Moving on here. Now I haven't seen this one. Have you?
I see. I disagree with this one. I don't think it's woke. I think it was going to be,
Yeah, they
but I
reshot it.
think the
Yeah.
reshoots fixed most of it. It's. I mean, the most woke thing about it is the new 007's a black chick, right? Because he retires.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, but that's
Well,
not super offensive to me. I don't really care because they did it at least in the cut we got in the theater, it was done strictly for the 007 jokes. So he could walk into MI6 and they'd say 007 and she'd respond yes. That was it. Because by the
nice.
end of the movie, she gives him back the number. So like
Right.
there was no real purpose to it other than a gag.
Yeah, no,
And
I haven't seen this, so I don't know. However, I would imagine the real MI6 today probably does have black spies.
oh, for
I would
sure.
assume they
Yeah, black
did.
women, why wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
it makes
and
sense.
she's I mean, I didn't dislike her. I don't think she's like, a great character or anything, but she wasn't terrible. She holds her own with Bond fairly well, and he gets over on her more than one occasion in their
She's
exchanges.
just so damn ugly,
Um,
dude.
yeah, she's not a pretty woman, but but I didn't dislike her as a character. I thought she was fine. She's snarky, but it's a James Bond movie. Of course, the woman's snarky. They always are.
Yeah, but did he get her in bed?
No,
Well,
in
there you go.
fact, he doesn't get a single woman in bed
Yeah, of course
besides
not.
his love interest from the movie before.
Of course not. Yeah, okay. This is just Men in Black International. This is just very poorly done.
Yeah,
And I don't understand how you take such a simple formula and putting in new people in a different area, which is how you would do it, right? Continue your story. How do you screw that up so bad? But they did, dude. And this is woke. This is woke crap for sure, but it's just
yeah.
poorly done. How do you do that? Men in Black is such an easy formula.
It's a buddy cop movie with aliens. That's
Yes.
all you need. That's it. Well, how did you screw that up? Well, here's how you screwed it up because you had to inject your agenda into it, and your agenda's not entertaining. Nobody's entertained by that but weird cosmopolitan Twitterites. All right, everybody else is like, oh,
Yeah, this girl
oh,
here, I don't know her name, but she's another one of their tokens like Zendaya. I mean,
yeah,
how does it feel being a token? Because that's what you are. That's what you are,
yeah.
right? Now, and Sidney Poitier, he wasn't no token, huh?
No,
What are you doing?
Denzel. We were just talking about
No
Denzel. He's
token.
not.
Yeah,
No,
so many of them. I haven't seen this one
was
either.
that was that woke? I don't. I would say not really. I mean, they make changes to the story, like Liu Kang barely matters, which is stupid. But I don't know if I'd call it woke. I mean, the Kung Lao kills a woman, like brutally murders a woman, in a fight. So I don't know. I think this is. I don't know the weird like addition of a character that isn't in any of the games or any of the lore was stupid and weird, but was it done for politics? It might have been. I have no idea. Now I know the director said that this was going
There
to be a
were
woke
political
movie.
things. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
but
Yeah.
when I watched it, I didn't pick up on it really. It was
You
just
know,
not very good.
we've seen a lot of that though, right? We get cast and crew
Yeah,
say shit, and then it turns out not to be that. Captain Marvel is a perfect example. It wasn't
yeah.
that much woke in it. It's just very bad movie with like
Well,
literally a million
No
plot
Way
holes.
Home. No Way Home. I don't know if they were claiming it was some great woke thing or not, but there's just you have to really stretch. The most woke stuff is the race swap stuff, but that was already done going into
Yeah,
the movie, and Zendaya being snarky. But
yeah. I
I
cannot
mean,
stand that girl. That token.
a
She's such a
snarky
token, dude.
a snarky chick isn't new. Like that's not a
No,
new thing
it's
in
not.
movies. They've been around a while.
Yeah.
So I try. I like honestly. I didn't see any homosexuality, any pandering to that. Nothing. It's just a fucking movie, and I was shocked because Hollywood can still do this. Wait a minute. Hold on. They
Yeah.
can still do it.
Here, you talk about this real quick. So I gotta go. I'll be back in a
Oh
minute.
God, Birds of Prey. Talk about a movie that just not only should not have existed. The fact that it does exist is a blight on humanity. Oh, this thing. Now, this was woke. This was super, super duper 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 woke from beginning to end, including with the evil white male protagonist or antagonist, because of course, who is just every ridiculous caricature of a evil white patriarch that the left has, and the ridiculous race swaps for no reason, literally for no reason in this movie, no reason at all. And not only did they swap their races around, they went out of their way, if it was a female, to find ugly females to fill these roles. Like, not just ugly, but fat, out of shape, slovenly, obviously have no business in an action movie, probably never once thrown a punch in their life. Uh, just stupid, ridiculous, ultra feminist crap that they do in Hollywood sometimes. This movie was full of it. It was replete with it. It bombed unbelievably hard. And it actually, I think its existence hurt the new Suicide Squad movie a lot because people were so turned off by Birds of Prey that I don't think they even gave the new Suicide Squad movie any kind of a chance. And that's a shame because that was actually a good movie with basically no woke shit in it at all. So this right here is probably the perfect example of how one not to market a film. Somehow in Hollywood, everybody forgot how to do marketing, except the people. I don't know what's going on at Disney right now. We've heard rumors, we've talked about it, that there's like this actual struggle, almost a civil war at the top between like Chapek and Feige. And Chapek just wants to make money and make good movies, and Feige is all about the message. Um, and it seems like Chapek is winning that argument because No Way Home had fantastic marketing from beginning to end. There was none of this woke signaling that I saw. Maybe it was out there, but I didn't see it. And it's a good movie. It's just a good movie from beginning to end. Now take that. The opposite is this movie. The marketing for it was abysmal. It was woke as hell. It was all about raw girl power. They literally called it a girl power movie or something to that effect. One of the stars, it might have even been Margot, I don't remember, was basically telling white men don't need to come see this movie. Stuff like that. Like, well, guess what, Margot, or whoever it was? Okay, we did it. You got your wish, and guess what happened? Your movie tanked. Tanked as hard as just about any movie in the history of movies. Whereas you take it over here to Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie, and they just did basically everything right in that movie. And all the way up to it with the marketing and just all of it. It's a masterclass. Like I said a minute ago, I forgot Hollywood knew how to do this because they forgot they knew how to do it for about 5 years here. And it was just refreshing to see this movie here, this Birds of Prey, was the complete and total exact opposite in every way. I still hold to my prediction that in the next few years, 2022, 2023, maybe into 2024, we're going to start to see a lot of this woke marketing and this woke pandering fade away. Now, the wokeness in other aspects of society is still going to be a problem, but I think you're going to start to see it fade away in mainstream media like this kind of mainstream media, meaning movies, and because it doesn't make any money and they keep flopping for years. Like, how many of these movies on here have been just abysmal flops?
Yeah.
Whereas now look at Spider-Man. It's set to break basically every record, and it's a Christmas movie. That's not supposed to happen, but it is happening.
Christmas movie though.
Well, it's set at Christmas, like it's coming out at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And the ending is he swings through the city at Christmas, basically at the end. So sure,
nice.
It could be a Christmas movie, I guess.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had an old lady walking through my house. I had to go deal with it. She brought me a bucket of abalone.
Why do old people just walk in your house? What is happening in Japan?
They do. Well, see, Japan doesn't really have locks.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, they just walk in. They don't knock or nothing.
No, they just come in. They'll speak. That's their knock. Is their speak. They're like, "Good morning."
Good thing you weren't sitting around naked.
I have before. Lord. I have before. Yeah. Anyway, it's she's just being kind and sharing stuff.
No, one of the points I was making about this movie was everything about this movie was wrong, from the marketing to just the fact that it existed at all, to the casting. And No Way Home seems to be the opposite, in my opinion.
That's good.
All the marketing was correct. The story, everything is all good. And it does seem to be a signal that they're moving away from that sort of aggressive, like antagonistic
Yeah,
marketing strategy that
which
this movie, Captain
brings
Marvel,
us to this one.
absolutely had.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
good
this
lord.
this movie was very antagonistic toward its viewership. This girl is this nasty, toxic, hateful thing,
Mm.
and it was just surrounded with it. Now they say it made $1 billion. We know there were shenanigans going on with this movie. We know there were because it
I just
seemed
saw a thing about Spider-Man. As of right now, it's at 587 million
for the first.
opening weekend
Jesus,
globally. Yeah,
what?
that's nuts. That's
What?
nuts.
That
Yeah,
is actually record breaking. They use the word record breaking a lot, if you haven't noticed. They love to use this word, but that I think is record breaking.
yeah.
That's first weekend, guys.
First weekend, 587 million. I told you it was completely sold out. We went there to the theater thinking, oh, okay, we'll be able to get tickets because all year long it didn't, that didn't happen. There wasn't sellouts, and we couldn't. We couldn't get tickets from the the little vendor thing, and we had to order them online for a later time. There was only two left.
Huh. Now that's why Rogers is asking if you had to pay $2,000 a ticket. Are people actually scalping tickets for $2,000?
I bet. I bet you
What?
in the big markets.
I don't understand these idiots like
No, I
that.
wouldn't pay $2,000 for a movie ticket.
Why?
For
It's
God's
not that
sake.
important. Just wait a week or three. I mean, what's the
Yeah,
big
just
deal?
wait a couple days.
But
Oh,
it's the same
jeez.
thing with that Black Friday though. I've never understood that. I mean, for
I don't
me,
either.
that's when you don't go anywhere near the stores,
Yeah.
right?
I have a puppy
Whatever.
again. Hi, little baby.
But this movie, I mean, even just look at her face, look at the hate.
Yeah.
She's just a
Yep.
nasty thing. Screw this girl.
Hateful person.
And that's that. But we know there's a lot more wokeness going on than that. It's everywhere. It touches everything. You have your general rules. You cannot have a white person with a white person. They got to be the black.
Yep.
The women can't be attractive anymore. They have to be ugly. These tropes. You got to have one of every color. We watched this movie the other day called A Boy Named Christmas, right? And it's a British made. Starts out with Mrs. McGonagall, kind of doing the never-ending story thing with Columbo there, where
Hmm.
she's reading the kids or telling them a story. And it's the family in the beginning are a black or a mixed black family, but that doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with nothing, right? However, during it, in general, it's okay until we get to Alfheim or Elfheim, I guess as they pronounced it. And you have all these elves, of course. It's basically an origin story for Santa Claus, is what it is. And here you are in the far north, and it's clear that in this movie they wanted to suggest that the Sami people are the elves, which would make sense. They are little people, the Sami. You know the Sami are? No? Are you gone?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I'm here. My wife came in here on her phone. I just didn't want you over here. But I've heard of them. I've heard of them. The
Okay,
Sami people.
they're an indigenous people of Scandinavia. They're little people. They're very tribal, old-fashioned. But anyway, so but here with these elves, these Sami people, they even had them in Sami clothing and coloring. They had a black one and some Indian ones, and it's like,
Okay.
yeah, okay, dumbass. But the thing is, isn't that cultural appropriation though?
Literally, yes. 100%.
Right. I mean,
100%. So I'm watching. I've been watching the Witcher series off and on today when I wasn't doing other stuff.
uh-huh.
The new season of it. It's pretty good. They fixed a lot of the problems we had with the first one. There's a lot more Geralt, being a character
Yeah.
instead of just standing around looking at stuff. Uh, and that's good. They did have a really cringy scene. I have to mention it, where the bard guy starts. He basically scolding this guy because he criticized one of his songs, and it's just a straight up self insert from the producers criticizing any of the fans who had criticisms of the first season.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
dumb.
yeah, it's really bad. But other than that, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong.
You know,
But the reason why I brought that up is because this is focuses on the elves a lot. This one, and there's a whole lot of black elves. And
which
I'm
doesn't
like,
make
that
any
doesn't make any
sense
sense
at
in this
all.
in
Yeah.
this world at all.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's just woke stupidity, and
Yeah.
it is cultural appropriation. But I mean, not that I care about that, but they seem to. But actually, it reminds me. The other day, I saw a little interview with Henry. He was on the Graham Norton Show, which is a British kind of variety talk show type of thingy. It's been on forever, and it has a lot of celebrities. Anyway, he was on there with Tom Holland and Zendaya, right?
Mm.
And Tom literally, not Tom, Henry literally was talking about his Warhammer hobby,
Yeah.
right? And which is ultra nerdy, right? And
Hmm.
still, just him being on stage overshadowed those two in
Oh, it's
it's ridiculous. And just sitting there, I felt
yeah.
bad for Tom Holland actually. He looked like
It's
such a little boy.
the problem that people have next to Cavill is he's a movie star.
He is a
He's an
movie
old
star.
school movie star brought to the modern era, and he just dominates the screen. His presence is unbelievable, and pretty much everything he's ever been in, he just takes over every scene he's in. And it's hopefully Hollywood continues to be smart about it and keeps cashing in on it and keeps giving him these like roles that a lot of people wouldn't want because they'd be really stressful. Like Geralt would be hard to play.
Yeah, he's injured
Uh,
himself several times. He was talking about that.
yeah, and it's also a character that's larger than life, so he's hard to just play just in general. But Henry was all about it, and he's obviously he's killed it.
Yeah.
Another one, Superman's not easy to play. Like everybody wants to
No,
be
it's very
Superman, so you
difficult.
got to put that cape on, and then there's a whole lot of weight on your shoulders. And he killed it as that. So I've been saying this for a long time. He needs to be the next James Bond. I don't think there's even anybody who should even
No,
be in the
he'd be good at
conversation
that.
but him.
He would be.
Yeah.
You know the interesting thing with that though, that because at least I don't know much about the Zendaya girl other than like she's insufferable. But at least she's a girl. Because there were a
Yes.
couple times in the presence of Mr. Cavill that she got all red cheeked. Which I don't blame her. I get it.
And I'll give her this. She does. She's not the prettiest girl in the world,
No,
in my
not.
opinion, but she at least tries when she's in public. Like every time I see her, she's in dresses or something similar. She does have a lot of positive feminine energy in that regard. So
Yeah, no, that's
I
what I
appreciate.
meant was she's not at least
Yeah,
she's not some hardcore dyke.
yeah.
But anyway, moving on because I'm getting tight on my time. This right here, I just put up to mention just offhand. You can go ahead and read the title though.
Square Enix, does that say suspends? Hang on one second. Square Enix
Suspense.
suspends sales and advertising of Final Fantasy XIV amid overwhelming player numbers. I saw that. I heard of that.
Now,
That's awesome.
well, yeah. Now this shows you about the whole go woke, get broke, and make other people overwhelmingly wealthy, but give them extreme stress. Because Square Enix, what has happened here is this: they have so many new players, their servers can't handle it to
Yeah.
the point that they've had to literally suspend sales.
Yes.
Meaning you can't get into the game right now. You can't. And people who had trials, they had to cancel those too, which is not a good thing.
Yeah.
They are so overwhelmed,
Yes.
and this is coming out of course, World of Warcraft's absolutely crashed with Blizzard and stuff like that. But I mean, I've never heard
Well,
of
it's
such a thing. Have
also
you?
no,
They
not
do
on a
turn away
digital.
customers.
Yeah, not on a digital thing like this, especially. But it's also the fact that they actually love their game,
Oh, they do.
and the lead developer is he. I mean, he's literally cried on stage at the support. Like that's how much
Yeah.
he's invested his whole personage, his whole identity into making this game as great as possible, and he doesn't come off as this fake corporate shill, right?
Right.
Whereas Blizzard and these other companies, their people are all fake as hell, and it's obviously fake. And I think people are just tired of it. I think
Yeah.
people see through it. We're tired of corporate speak. We want to be talked to like we're humans, not like we're numbers. And that's how that's how he does. He talks to his
Yeah.
people like they're people. Like a crazy idea, right? Treat people
Right.
like they're people, and maybe they'll support you. Plus, they obviously care. You know, he actually plays the game at a high level. The head developer does, which is important. I think. I think if you're
Sure.
making a game, especially one that's a service that's on all the time, and you're not willing to play it at a high level, then what are you making? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
what are you doing? And
Yeah.
keep in mind that this game was an absolute flop disaster when it first came out, and they had to go back
Yep.
and remake the whole damn thing.
And
I
I've
mean,
played it.
the
It is
story
pretty
is pretty
good.
impressive.
The stories is impressive. It just didn't hook me, and I think it's just MMO. I'm tired of MMOs. But it
Yeah.
just didn't hook me like it did some other people. But it wasn't terrible. It's one of the best stories in an MMO game, that's for sure. Maybe the
Yeah,
best.
it did. I played it too. It didn't hook me either. I'd rather play Black Desert. I
Yeah,
know a lot of people left Desert because of all the bullshit they were doing, and I understand it. I do.
yeah,
That loot boxing and stuff is bullshit. But it's never an issue for me because I'm a man and I
right.
will buy what I want to buy.
I will spend my money the way I damn well please. Thank you.
Yes, and you're not gonna trick me or force me into it.
Yeah,
I play plenty of these so-called free-to-play games, and I don't bite unless I feel like okay, I'm gonna play this game. Then maybe I'll throw a little money at it.
yeah, I do that too. Like Star Wars: The Old Republic. You can play that free, pretty much completely.
Hmm.
And if there's something if I'm having a good time or whatever, I'll sub or I'll buy something if something cool pops up for sale on there
Sure.
because they have a market. But other than that, no, I actually like that model. I think more games, especially MMOs, should adopt the free to play model with especially games with giant marketplaces like 14 because you end up making more money.
Yeah, sure.
Because people are less committed on the front end, so they're more willing to impulse buy on the back end.
Right, and that's the problem people have with it. But I mean, control your damn self. Anyway, I
Yes.
didn't want to spend much time on it. I just thought you don't hear about companies turning consumers away, dude. That's
Yeah.
rare. That is
And
rare.
it's another example of give the people what they want, and guess what happens? Good things.
Yeah,
Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, give the people what they want, good things.
dude,
Big,
I can't believe it's
there you go.
almost $600 million in its
In
opening
one
weekend. That is
weekend, bro.
insane, dude.
That's crazy. I told my wife when we were trying to get tickets, I hadn't seen anything like this since Spider-Man 3. Because around here, when Spider-Man 3 came out, you could not get tickets for 2 weeks. They
My
just
God,
did
dude.
wasn't. They were sold out completely.
So this movie is basically kicking holes. I mean, gigantic Godzilla-sized holes in the
Yep.
narrative that people just are afraid to go back to the theater.
Yep.
Oh my God, dude, get them! All right, hey,
I love it.
this one I got to talk about. This one is too funny.
Another Japanese Apex Legend player banned for using Nigero, Japanese for run.
Okay, it's not run. Nigeru it's actually technically, I guess you translate the word as escape, but that's not how it's
Hmm.
used. It's used more as go 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 go.
Right.
Right? That's how it's used. Nigeru, nigeru. And and of course, what they're doing is they're just being excited and using Japanese normally. And this talks about a few other things too. People using Spanish and using the word negro
Yep.
or
Hmm.
other things like that, and getting banned because somehow this is racist. Well, nigeru is not English. And it has nothing to do with black people, whereas negro is the word black
Yep.
for sure in the romance languages. This is literally happening, right? And
It's
here's the
stupid.
thing, though, it's stupid. But here's the thing: other people will whine about it, make a little noise, will play anyway. The Japanese will not. You are
Yeah, they'll
killing
just shut it
yourself.
down. Yeah.
They will drop you like a freaking hot potato, dude. Um, but I mean, Jesus, man, what's wrong with you, dude?
It's just first of all, there's not a person in the world of any race besides white people, it seems, that is this sensitive to these words. There's not a black person who is. There's not a an African person who is. It's only white liberals who are this sensitive. I can guarantee
It's
you,
true.
it was not a black human being,
No, it
a
was a white
person of
girl.
African descent who was upset about this. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
An idiot, uneducated white girl is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And when you say uneducated, what I would say is ignorant to, she's never really been around black people.
no,
She thinks she
I
has.
think they're just dumb, dude. I just don't think they
Well, yeah,
study. I think they listen and believe, and they're dumb. They
that's
don't have
true.
any knowledge in their head. Here's another one. Negro. Esta Genielia el skin negro del bloodhound. Yeah. So yeah. So what's the problem? But this one is to. He said, when you're playing, you have to go at it hard, is what how he's using it here.
Hmm.
Um, that's how
Stupid.
he's using
Just stupid.
negeru, right? You have to go. You can't be soft about it. You got to get at it. Hit hard and fast is what they're saying in this. Um, this person's simply complaining that after using this in his chat, he can't play anymore, and he's basically fine. I won't play it again then anyway. That's what I said. That's the Japanese. He's done. He ain't coming back.
Well, especially over in Asia, man. There's another game right around the corner. And okay, fine, I'll go play that one. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
they don't
Japanese are
care.
hard headed as hell, dude.
Uh,
They are
why would you
extremely hard
care?
headed. Yeah.
But no, it's so stupid. It's the ironic thing is, out of all of the things in this that are actually racially insensitive, this is the racially insensitive thing to do. This is the racist, if you will, thing to do. Because they're judging these people who don't speak their language and who are unironically of another race based on standards they've set
Yep.
for people who are of their race. And
Yeah,
that
and it's
is
ridiculous.
quite
They don't.
literally wrong.
Why wouldn't you go and take a moment to take a look and make sure you're not making that kind of mistake? Because here we have Indonesian players saying "ingak, ingak, ingak,"
Yeah.
or I don't know how they pronounce it. Maybe it's a "inga, inga, inga," whatever, but it means no. But nope, that's racist shit. Alrighty. Uh, let's talk about that again. Yeah, no, it's is really, really dumb. But I saw, of course, because the Japanese was involved immediately. I was like, "What's wrong with Nigeru?"
It's like we're kind of learning in real time why free speech, or, I don't like the term free speech, open speech was a thing, and why we kind of enshrined it as like our ultimate law. Because once you start doing this, it's just an endless regression of nonsense. And there's no way out, right? You just have to stop. You just have to be like, all right, you know what? Listen, people can just say what they want. And if you get offended by it, then just get away from those people.
Yeah,
Do whatever you got to do. Just ignore them. That's the solution, always has been. But for some reason, we think that a nanny state or a nanny corporation, I guess, is somehow going to solve people saying mean words. No, we'll just come up with new ones. We're pretty good at it as
yeah,
humans.
no, they are. The meme nations live, and they actually have it written here as Nigero. It's not Nigero. It's Nigeru.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. Dumbass.
Oh boy.
This one here, I take offense to. I take offense to this shit. Go ahead.
Star Trek The Next Generation star LeVar Burton appears to admit he assumes the worst about white people based on their race. Quote, no more than white people do me because of mine, end quote.
First of all, Mr. Rainbow Reading,
Yeah.
nobody thinks of you that way. Nobody. You have always been the Reading Rainbow guy. You are Geordie. Even when you show up on things like, because I've seen him a couple times on what's that, Big Bang Theory and things like that. You're always that warm, happy, nice guy. No one has looked at you in any other way as being a nice guy who's an American. Your color never. You're not one of those dudes. You're not one of those dudes that plays on your color. You're not.
But apparently he would like to be.
Yeah, but I mean, this is so dumb coming out of his mouth because I'm white and I've never, ever, ever looked at him as being a black man.
No.
Have you?
No. And
Particularly
it's
this
kind of
guy.
like ironically, Lil Wayne, the rapper Lil Wayne, he came out and he said he doesn't even understand what racism is because white people have done nothing but always support him and literally saved his life once. A cop did, a white cop. Uh,
Yeah, sure.
so it's like, to me, Mr. Burton has most definitely been in a similar world as Lil Wayne, right? Who Star Trek fans, yeah, it's multiracial, but the vast majority of them are white guys, and
Probably, yeah.
they've always supported him. They've always, had his back and been his fan and been, as far as I know, mostly respectful to him. So it's just these people get clout for their grievance bullshit, and
Yeah,
that's all this is.
well, he has been making noise recently, and I think he's just got TDS. I mean, this is the best example of this being absolute something that no one ever said, because he's not that dude. He's never ever gotten it. There are black dudes that carry their blackness on their shoulder, like Snoop Dogg. Right,
Yeah.
he's a very lovable guy. Everyone loves Snoop Dogg. He's just a stoner, right?
Yes.
But he's a black dude. He is a black dude, and that's
Right.
fine. And you think of him that way because that's what he is. But LeVar Burton, Jesus Christ, dude, are you
No.
kidding me?
No. It's like what's his name? Carlton,
Yeah,
whatever his real
Carlton,
name is.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Nobody looks at you and is like, oh, that's an N word there. No,
Yeah,
nobody does that with you,
nobody.
especially you.
Because it's not racism, it's culturalism. And
That's right.
and as with the Carlton character, you're not part of the ghetto culture. That's not who you are. There are
Right.
plenty of wiggers running around, dude,
Oh yeah, all over,
right?
all
And
over.
it's a culture thing. It's not a actual skin color thing, dude. Just like when I meet an actual African person, that person goes into a different category in my brain because we objectify everything. That's how our brain works. And he
Yes.
is an African, and I know to deal with him in a certain way, right?
Sure.
But LeVar Burton, of all people, to be coming out with such a statement, talk about being completely self unaware, dude. And this dude's
Yeah.
older than I am.
Yeah, he's up there.
I mean, it's like, Jesus, dude, are you really that lost at 50 something years old? Really?
See, I don't think he is. I think part of it is TDS, but I think it's also we've incentivized people to be this way, and some people are just, they have no character, and that's what happens.
Yeah, but he's destroyed his legacy with this shit he's been doing recently, dude.
Yep.
Absolutely destroyed it. He was a beloved individual. I mean, freaking Reading Rainbow, dude, right?
Yep.
It's like it's as if you had someone like what's his name there? What's the ugly drummer from the Beatles? God damn it, Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
Thomas the Train Engine. It's as if he going out doing some stuff, because most people of that generation know him as the conductor. He's not a Beatle to them. He's the conductor, and he has
Right.
that imagery just like LeVar does. Anyway, it pissed me off though. This did piss me off. So
Oh, it's so
anyway,
dumb.
yeah,
So
it is
dumb.
dumb. Anyway, the last thing I got here, I'm going to save for tomorrow because I'm out of time. I am going to talk about this though because you guys know I love D&D, and they've put out errata for all the books that they've come out under fifth edition, because there's problematic shit, Thundero.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I don't have time. I got to get out of here. But oh God, idiots abound, dude. I don't know. Maybe you're not of the same generation as me, but that whole LeVar Burton thing really pissed me off, dude.
Yeah. No, it does me too. It's very disappointing. I looked up to
Yeah,
him a lot as a
disappointing.
kid,
Yeah.
and really all the Star Trek guys, the Next Generation crew was my Star Trek. And him especially, I really liked Geordi. I thought Geordi was one of the best characters in that show. And I always thought LeVar was a stand-up guy until very recently.
Yeah, it's really, really disappointing, dude. That's the word. It's almost as if Elmo turned out to be a pedophile. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I mean, right? It's that level of disappointment because
It's
it's not
rough.
who you are, dude. You're freaking Martha Stewart, man. I mean, that's what you are. And well, she went to jail too, though. I'm making bad analogies here. Sorry, but that really, really upset me. Because this is the worst transgression from LeVar Burton, but he's been loud recently. And it's like, dude, you're not. This is the thing about all that. You're not special, dude, because you're black. You're not.
No.
You're not special. Being black doesn't make you special any more than any other color makes you special. What makes you special is the things you do, right?
Yes.
And we have so many people that think they're special because they're black. And it's like, my God, the freaking narcissism. I don't know. Anyway,
No, I agree
sorry.
with you.
I
I
vented.
think uh, I think it's preposterous nonsense. Sorry, I was distracted. I looked over at Twitter. And Elon Musk just tweeted about a half hour ago. For those wondering, I will pay over $11 billion in taxes this year. $11 billion from one man.
Yep.
And they have the audacity to say he doesn't pay enough. Like, come on, shut up.
Yeah, well, then he's got a lot of money, so they tend to, and that money is based on what he's making. So he must have had a good ass year, dude.
Well, what he did is because people were complaining that he wasn't paying income tax because he didn't actually have income, because that's how they work it.
Yeah, sure.
He sold a bunch of stock, so he has income, so he could pay income tax just to shut him up.
Oh,
And
I
there it
see.
is,
I see. Yeah,
$11 billion
I
worth.
mean, you pay money on interest you earn from bank accounts,
Yes,
of course. But yeah, no, rich people, it depends on kind of rich. Are you nouveau rich or are you old school rich? Old school
right.
rich isn't going to pay huge amounts of taxes because they're not generating huge amounts of money.
No,
Where nouveau rich do.
exactly. And what a lot of them do is they incorporate themselves, or they have a corporation that handles all their finances that they own, and some of them even manage, and all of their money goes through that, so their taxes go through that, which is typically a much lower rate.
Well, sure.
Um,
And why wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah,
wouldn't you want
why
to
wouldn't you?
reduce your burden?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Especially
It's
because they're
nonsense.
wasting your goddamn money anyway. I mean,
Especially with a guy like Musk who's doing more to try and benefit humanity while making a ton of money at his own right than anybody in the government. Period.
mhm.
It's not even close. Like it's not even comparable. It's a joke to try. So to come at him like that, like he's ungrateful or whatever, the dude gives more to charity than any of us will ever see,
Yeah,
and he gives more to the government than any of us will ever see.
right.
So
And as the young people say, he is based.
he is.
I
He
still
is.
don't know what the hell that means, but he
It
is that.
depends on which young person you're talking to, but basically it just means that he's grounded in truth and he tells the truth, and I appreciate that.
Based. So they should have used the word grounded instead of based, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's basically the
So
same
it's
thing.
basically
There's some
modern
other
day literacy.
connotations
All right.
depending on where you're at, but and like what group you're talking to, but largely it just means it's basically just another word for cool, right? Like that's cool, man. That's true. Same thing.
Yeah, I get it. Illiteracy abounds. I understand. All right. So thank you all very much for coming in today. We do appreciate it. Tomorrow we're going to get into comic book stuff. And there's a few things to talk about actually, and I will cover that D&D thing in depth. But that's probably going to take me 20 minutes to get through that article. So that's why I didn't do it today. But I will be covering that because it's another good example of stupidity at work. Nevertheless, thank you all very much. And Thundero, take us out of here, man.
I don't have much to say. We'll see you tomorrow, most likely. I don't think I won't be around. I should be. Um, it's Christmas time. Hope anybody who's out there listening, I hope you have a good Christmas time. Hope you have a better one than me, anyway.
Yeah.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. See you tomorrow. Yeah. Later.